I began to be allowed to stay up and watch the Andy Griffith Show, which I think came on at 8:30 or something like that. But it wasn't until much later that I began to understand the impact the show was having audiences.
For decades, the Andy Griffith Show was celebrated as a wholesome, beloved sitcom. However, decades later, Ron Howard, now a renowned director and actor, has revealed a surprising secret from the set.
He wasn't didn't have a producer credit, but it was his show. It was tailored to his sensibility. And for a moment, he was like the comedy producer, but he was there all the time, and they were always stressing character.
In a candid confession, Howard admits to disliking someone on the show, something that shocks fans and reshapes the image of the beloved series. His revelation offers a new perspective on the complexities of working on such an iconic show. Ron Howard's hidden resentment. Ron Howard spent much of his childhood in front of the camera, playing Opie Taylor on the Andy Griffith Show. To many, the experience seemed idyllic. A beloved young actor on a hit show in a charming small-town setting. Yet, beneath the surface, Howard harbored feelings that few might have guessed. Years later, at the age of 70, he revealed a side of his experience that challenges the nostalgic glow often associated with the series. His admission wasn't about disliking the show itself, but revealed something far more personal and surprising about someone he had to work closely with. This revelation took fans by surprise because Howard is widely respected as warm and approachable. His career blossomed beyond acting into one of Hollywood's most successful directors, earning acclaim and awards. The fact that he concealed such strong negative feelings for so long adds a layer of complexity to the story of the Andy Griffith Show. It reminds us that even tightly knit productions can hide unseen tensions behind the scenes. But what exactly fueled those feelings? Howard's reflections hint at a complicated relationship, both professionally and emotionally, that wasn't simple to navigate as a child. Growing up in the spotlight is no easy feat, especially when dealing with adult co-stars in a high-pressure environment. On set, Ron often had to swiftly master his lines, attend lengthy shoots, and perform scenes that pushed him beyond typical childhood experiences. Though the show depicted a loving world, the reality for Howard wasn't always as peaceful. The environment sometimes unveiled difficult moments, and his feelings toward certain colleagues carried more weight than fans might imagine. What he hated was not just a single person or event, but was tied to deeper struggles he faced at the time. Curiously, Howard never aired these grievances publicly until decades later. Part of this silence comes from the respect he held for the show's legacy and the people involved. But as time passed, honesty became important, not just for closure, but to share a fuller picture of what it was like behind the camera. It's a reminder that childhood stardom often involves emotional complexities that are invisible to audiences. Howard's delayed confession reveals the human side behind the iconic role of Opie, and surfaces questions about how much tension simmered beneath the surface during the show's heyday. His story invites us to rethink the image of the Andy Griffith Show as purely a harmonious set. The fact that these feelings remained suppressed for so long also sheds light on the demands placed on young actors to maintain professionalism regardless of personal discomfort. Howard's coming forward marks a rare moment of vulnerability in Hollywood circles, where such admissions are often carefully avoided. It also encourages viewers to question how much unseen discord might have influenced the performances they loved. Interestingly, Howard's anger or resentment was not directed at the show's creator or leads, but rather toward a particular individual whose presence made parts of the experience difficult. This person's impact left an impression strong enough that Howard felt compelled to finally speak out. The admission reframes the way we consider relationships on the set, introducing an undercurrent of friction to an otherwise cheerful ensemble. It gives his audience a chance to understand that not all bonds behind the scenes were as idyllic as they seemed on screen. Despite the challenges, Howard's memories are layered. He recalls moments of camaraderie alongside frustrations. His confession doesn't diminish the show's cultural importance, but provides context for the personal trials hidden beneath its surface. There is something quietly powerful about a child actor acknowledging the emotional toll that earlier generations might have kept silent. Such honesty adds depth and invites empathy for all involved. It also sets the stage for exploring the broader realities of life on The Andy Griffith Show. Before revealing the full details of Howard's difficult ties, it's important to recognize that The Andy Griffith Show maintained a beloved status for decades, widely praised for its warmth and humor. Yet, as with any long-running project, the human element is rarely straightforward. Howard's statements serve as a reminder that even the most cherished shows can have undercurrents of strain. His journey is a subtle but poignant reminder that appearances can be deceiving, especially in Hollywood, where behind-the-scenes stories often differ sharply from what viewers see on the screen. Now, understanding the context of Howard's concealed resentment opens the door to examining the environment that shaped these emotions. The cast and crew of The Andy Griffith Show created a complex world, one where friendship and conflict lived side by side. To grasp the full picture, we must consider how the warmth of Mayberry on screen contrasted with the realities backstage. The reality behind the iconic set was anything but simple. The reality behind the Andy Griffith set. The Andy Griffith Show created a timeless image of small-town America, peaceful, friendly, and full of heart. The show presented Sheriff Andy Taylor as a wise character whose quiet presence combined with Opie's innocent nature to create a charming performance that attracted millions of viewers. The atmosphere of the set produced a combination of comedic elements, stressful situations, and unpredictable social interactions. The cast members used to play friendly, practical jokes, which Andy Griffith organized because he liked to create mischief both during filming and outside his work hours. The cast members used these playful activities to create a lively environment, but they also used them to hide their internal battles with one another. The friendship between Andy Griffith and Don Knotts showed strong ties between the two actors, which extended beyond their time on set. But their other connections with people proved to be more difficult to understand. Griffith's role as the straight man paired perfectly with Knotts' comedic flair, and their friendship became famous after their first Broadway performances together in the 1950s. The young cast member Ron Howard, who played a role in this show, did not form friendships with the other actors because he experienced hidden pressures that emerged during his first years on the show. The series presented a perfect world, which viewers could see, yet its actual operations remained concealed from public view. The actors were faced with the challenge of balancing their professional and personal struggles. Not all actors equally enjoyed the spotlight or the environment they were in. Howard's situation was worsened by the challenges in dealing with people and the realization that not everyone he worked with was easy to get along with. Other veteran actors, such as Frances Bavier, who portrayed Aunt Bee, also had strong personalities that sometimes clashed. The cast of the show included a number of strong-willed characters who coped with the situation in unique ways. The method of production for the show in the 1960s also added to the high-stress environment for the actors. This is because the actors were required to present episodes in front of a live audience with minimal room for error. This situation required the actors to be quick in their delivery. Being a child actor in this situation was a great challenge for Howard, who was only 6 years old at the time. The need to be professional in an environment with long working hours was not openly communicated due to the need for the actors to maintain the illusion of the perfect world in Mayberry. Another unexpected consequence of the show's longevity was negotiations, changes in the cast, and developments in the plot. All these factors sometimes resulted in unexpected consequences, especially where relationships were concerned. For instance, Don Knotts' decision to leave after the 5th season was partly due to issues of ownership. Thus, there was not only a gap on screen, but there was a sense of family that was missing. All these factors, especially those related to business, sometimes resulted in unexpected consequences, especially where relationships were concerned. Despite all these, there were many touching moments of friendship, especially between Andy Griffith, who was considered a supportive lead, even though his love of pranks sometimes did not sit well with others. There were many touching moments of friendship, especially between the actors, which many cherished for a lifetime. However, despite all these, there was always a feeling that no group is immune to conflict, especially one as close-knit as the Andy Griffith Show's cast. Off-screen, the show also had its moments that did not quite fit with the perception of harmony. There were reported cases of conflicts, jealousies, and unexpressed resentments that simmered beneath the surface. Ron Howard's delayed revelation of his dislike for a major figure also finds its context in the larger context of the complex relationships that were often hidden for the sake of the show's positive reputation. Perhaps the most interesting thing is the way these conflicts off-screen stand in stark contrast with the innocence and humor that defined the show's narrative. Mayberry was a land where problems were easily solved with wisdom and kindness, but the actors who brought this world to life had a much more complex reality. The dichotomy between the illusion and the reality creates the mystique around the Andy Griffith Show. It proves that success and entertainment do not always exclude personal challenges and complexities. This delicate balance between warmth and tension underscores the unique dynamics of the lead actors, especially Andy Griffith and Don Knotts, whose legendary relationship became the heart of the show. The role of Andy Griffith and Don Knotts. The friendship between Andy Griffith and Don Knotts was a cornerstone of the Andy Griffith Show's enduring appeal. Their chemistry on screen, as Sheriff Andy Taylor and Deputy Barney Fife, created some of television's most memorable moments. Off-screen, they shared a genuine bond that lasted decades, from their early days working together on Broadway's No Time for Sergeants to their career's final chapters. Their relationship was marked by mutual respect, loyalty, and a deep understanding of each other's talents. The performance of Griffith created a steady presence that matched Knotts' unpredictable comedic style through his direct approach. The first half of the performance showed comedic effects, which displayed the partnership between two actors who worked together to create a shared performance. Knotts brought his dynamic performance as Barney, which earned him multiple Emmy Awards, while Griffith presented his minimalistic acting style, which created perfect balance. All viewers from different age groups and cultural backgrounds found the show accessible through this approach. Their off-screen friendship was equally strong. The two friends kept in touch during their lifetime, which continued until Knotts departed from the series in 1965. The two men supported each other through different situations, which included Griffith standing by Knotts during his serious health issues, which continued until Knotts' death in 2006. The ongoing friendship between them established a connection that showed both their commitment to each other and their success as comedians through their work in show business. The work environment between these two legends created multiple challenges that needed to be solved. Griffith used his reputation as a prankster to play practical jokes, which he directed at his co-stars, including Knotts. The crew members on set received these pranks with laughter. The special bond between Griffith and Knotts kept the show together because it created dependable support for the entire cast. The partnership established a benchmark for excellence, which exposed weaknesses in the musical group. The close friendship between the leads sometimes left others feeling sidelined or overshadowed. For a young Ron Howard, who needed to portray an entirely different character dynamic, he must have experienced isolation from others because he saw such an iconic pairing. The show used its hidden soundtracks to display how the couple shared strong bonds, while other relationships showed signs of tension. Griffith, who partly owned the show as its director, acquired the power to make decisions about casting and production. The power structure between parties established methods to manage both contracts and creative contributions, which created disputes with Don Knotts when he sought ownership rights, but received a negative response. The departure of Knotts demonstrated that he had no personal conflicts with others, but that business problems had disrupted the show's family atmosphere. The strength of this partnership enables us to understand why Ron Howard and other show relationships reached their breaking point. The hidden resentments between people and their honest emotional expressions created the framework for the internal interpersonal connections. This tension between cherished friendship and difficult realities invites a deeper look into the world behind Mayberry's smiles. Challenges of child acting on set. For Ron Howard, stepping onto the set of The Andy Griffith Show as the young Opie Taylor was an extraordinary opportunity, but it also came with significant challenges. Starting at just 6 years old, Howard was thrust into a professional environment that demanded focus, quick memorization, and emotional range far beyond his years. While the show painted a charming and simple picture of life in Mayberry, the reality for Howard was that filming required rigorous discipline and maturity. Balancing the demands of a hit television series with the normal experiences of childhood wasn't easy. Howard often had to perform long takes in front of a live studio audience, which could be intimidating for anyone, let alone a child so young. The pressure to deliver his lines flawlessly and maintain consistency from scene to scene was constant. Mistakes meant retakes, extending already long shooting days. And at times, the tone of the episodes required him to express emotions that were complex and difficult to access naturally. The burden of acting at such a young age added a layer of stress that many fans might not realize went along with his early fame. Howard had to manage both the interpersonal dynamics on set and the requirement for him to perform his acting duties. The production had professional actors who had worked in the industry for many years, but who developed their own conflicts and different views about the show. The social environment at work proved especially challenging for the child actor because he struggled to understand the adults who worked with him. Howard faced situations where he had no access to the protection and help that most children use for safety. The hidden forces at work in his surroundings determined how he would respond to events during his time at work. Howard experienced discomfort because of the technical and social elements that existed on the film set. The storylines and props that appeared in the production brought their own set of difficulties. He expressed his strong dislike for certain aspects of the project because he found that particular scene required extra effort to film those segments. The process of acting as if he liked things he actually hated created emotional work that made him feel angry while he tried to finish his work. The research demonstrated that even tiny elements of a performance could have a great impact on how young actors experienced their performances. The passage shows that Howard's growing expertise in his job made him seek knowledge about creative work during his first years in his position. The director tested his skills by observing how directors operated their scenes, which included watching both the setup process and the crew members who worked together. The director tests his skills through his current role as director and producer because this work satisfies his initial curious nature. The child actor experienced two opposing forces that controlled his behavior with strict rules and made him work without any freedom. Howard faced new challenges in his initial work period because he had to work closely with adult professionals who held authority on film sets. During his childhood, he lacked control over both his work environment and his social contacts, which forced him to endure situations that made him feel uneasy or unmotivated. The personal imbalance between the two parties became a reason for his ongoing frustration, which lasted throughout the entire duration of multiple years. The situation demonstrates that child actors who achieve success still have to endure emotional battles that they keep concealed from the audience. The most challenging of these moments is tied to one unforgettable episode, where Howard's distaste reached its peak. The pickle episode and its impact. One of the most beloved and frequently mentioned episodes of The Andy Griffith Show is the pickle story. Yet behind its humor lies a story of personal challenge for Ron Howard. The episode revolves around Aunt Bee's attempt to make pickles, which turn out to be largely inedible. Opie, played by Howard, ends up eating several of these questionable pickles, an assignment that proved far from simple for the young actor. Howard has openly admitted that he absolutely hated the pickles, even comparing their taste to kerosene. This genuine dislike made his performance particularly demanding. The difficulty wasn't just about filming, it was the constant physical reaction Howard had to the pickles. His grimacing and wincing during the episode's scenes weren't just acting choices, they were authentic responses to the unpleasant taste. Pretending to enjoy the pickles required tremendous endurance and creativity on his part, especially as he had to maintain continuity across multiple takes. The scene became a unique struggle that tested his abilities well beyond typical child acting challenges. Despite this, Howard managed to turn his distaste into a performance that fit seamlessly with the episode's storyline. The authenticity of his reactions added depth to the humor, making the audience empathize with Opie's predicament. It's a rare case where a young actor's personal discomfort contributed positively to the narrative impact. Yet, behind the laughs, the experience was a hard one, highlighting how physical discomfort can shape a role in unexpected ways. The pickle episode functions as a significant symbol that shows Howard's complex emotional response he has toward the television series. The episode showed his acting passion, but created a metaphor that described his battles between cheerful moments and the challenging times that followed him throughout the show. The experience shows two different aspects that combine together to form his work through testing times, and his work, which takes him to joyful situations. The true description of his life experience shows a real human connection when compared to the typical idealized narrative about child actors who gained early success. The episode shows Don Knotts' favorite moments because the actors found happiness in all their comedic work, while they faced difficult situations. The show wanted to create a cheerful atmosphere, which Knotts found accomplished through the humor that brought the cast members together as their bonding experience developed. The production process for these scenes created challenges that broke the happy atmosphere for Howard during his work. The contrast shows how actors experience their work differently from the common understanding of their profession. The show production process demonstrates its main theme through the way it combines prepared comic material with natural human behavior during performances, which actors display on stage. The food prop demonstrates how basic items can create anxiety and fear, which actors must handle during their performances. The television production process receives an authentic representation through Howard's honest disclosure, which goes against the standard appropriate portrayal. What followed on set was mixed laughter and tension, as playful antics often hid deeper personal struggles. Behind the scenes antics and tensions, the Andy Griffith Show set established an atmosphere of joyful laughter and friendly relationships, which included Andy Griffith, who played the main role of the show. Don Knotts received his morning wake-up call when Griffith dropped metal film canisters onto the floor to create legendary moments of mischief. The cast members cherished the production challenges because they used these pranks as a method to release stress. The situation contained two sides because people maintained their comedic approach while building their serious relationship. The cast members each had distinct personalities, and sometimes pranks served as unspoken communication, both a release valve and a subtle battleground. The discovery of duck guts in his dressing room prompted George "Goober" Lindsay to start a cycle of revenge that became the standard among his co-workers. The two parties involved in this situation experienced both enjoyable moments and serious conflicts. Prank reactions depended on the relationships between people off-screen. Some people accepted the situation, but Frances Bavier, Aunt B, showed a negative reaction toward Griffith. Bavier, a serious actress, found his constant jokes disruptive and irritating, highlighting that not all on-set interactions were warm. The two parties needed to maintain a positive set atmosphere while they worked to solve their personal disputes. The show maintained its demanding requirements even though it provided enjoyable experiences for the cast. The live production required the cast to quickly transition between their fun activities and their professional duties, because directors and producers enforced professional standards for their performances. Performing this pattern led to increased pressure, which built up hidden tensions that the audience could not see. The episode "The Runaway Kid" shows its lighthearted nature through a scene where Opie and his friends pull a prank on Sheriff Taylor by parking his vehicle in front of a fire hydrant to create a situation that leads to his arrest. The scripted mischief on screen presented an authentic mirror of the actual set atmosphere, which demonstrated how humor operated as a fundamental element of the production process. The cast's prank culture showed their close relationship as family members who shared strong bonds while experiencing normal patterns of rivalry and discontent. The jokes people told behind the scenes contained actual stories, which described their personal challenges and their artistic conflicts. The actors displayed various emotional states and group allegiances while they encountered different difficulties, which created more authentic human interactions for the audience to see in Mayberry. In the end, the complex relationships behind the scenes, often strained but also strengthened over time, shaped the chemistry that made Mayberry so relatable to its audience. Some bonds formed unbreakable ties, while others gradually faded, leaving a lasting impact on those involved. Cast relationships and long-term legacies. The cast of The Andy Griffith Show formed a unique web of friendships, rivalries, and personal dynamics, shaped by the microcosm of Mayberry. The enduring friendship between Andy Griffith and Don Knotts, built on years of shared history and mutual respect, became a model of loyalty that lasted long after the show's end. However, not all relationships were as harmonious. For example, Frances Bavier, who played Aunt B, had a famously difficult relationship with Griffith, despite their on-screen closeness. Bavier's strong-willed nature clashed with Griffith's laid-back personality, creating tension that only eased years later. When Don Knotts left the series after 5 seasons, it added another layer to the very complex relationships within the cast. Knotts wanted a share in the profits of the show, but Griffith and the major producers declined him. Although the principal disagreement left their personal bond intact, this action nevertheless marked a point in the history of the show that laid emphasis on the underlying tensions of the creative side versus the business side. Knotts' exit left its own awkward hole in the fabric of the show. Ron Howard's side felt the same. Although he harbored great admiration for many of his colleagues, Mr. Howard felt there was a certain amount of dislike in some corners, a very complex mix of concealed, he let out only long after departure, quite pathos-stricken, resentment. Dealing with grown-ups, with adult work on sets, made a hard-earned contrast with his easygoing kid got upset just as easily days, and helped mold and grow him partially. Once the show was over in 1968, the cast went their different ways. Francis Bavier retired in North Carolina, while others gained more fame, like Knotts and Howard. Spin-offs such as Gomer Pyle, USMC, and Mayberry RFD kept many original cast members working together, and reunion specials allowed them to come together with some reflection on their joint legacy. Later in their lives, members of the cast, like George Lindsay, Goober Pyle, became philanthropic, raising funds for causes such as the Alabama Special Olympics. Despite personal changes, their combined set of contributions to television history has resonated with viewers throughout the world, from that time to the present day. The show still stands as an eternal reminder of Americana, a show of companionship and discord behind the camera. The complexities of these relationships also help explain how Ron Howard's views evolved over time, paving the way for the candid revelations he shared decades later. How Ron Howard's view changed over time. Ron Howard's journey from beloved child actor to respected director has reshaped his view of the Andy Griffith Show. As a child, Howard kept many feelings to himself, navigating a demanding environment. Decades later, he has reflected on those years, revealing how time and maturity have brought clarity to his experience. Howard initially expressed gratitude for playing Opie, but later discovered that he faced various difficulties and frustrations during production. His resentment towards certain individuals and tough moments from the show became more apparent over time. These realizations helped him reconcile the public image of Mayberry with his authentic memories. Howard developed his broader entertainment industry knowledge through his experience working behind the camera. His directorial and producing work provided him with deeper insights into the creative conflicts and relationships between people who made the show. Howard achieved success in his career after The Andy Griffith Show, and because of this success, he could express both thankfulness and complete truth about himself. Howard has acknowledged that his feelings toward the show and its cast members are complex, blending affection with frustration and forgiveness. His honesty about his concealed feelings connects with people who have experienced difficulties during their early work period. His openness marks a departure from Hollywood's usual focus on triumph and offers a more vulnerable, balanced perspective. Howard honors the legacy of The Andy Griffith Show through his reflections, which present a human viewpoint about the show. He demonstrates through his research, which demonstrates how The Andy Griffith Show created happiness and created challenges during production. Howard's story represents a journey that shows how he developed through reconciliation to reach complete honesty. His journey invites us to appreciate the humanity behind the stars, which reminds us that even the brightest lights have shadows. Ron Howard's candid revelations transform our understanding of The Andy Griffith Show, reminding us that behind timeless entertainment lie complex human stories. His journey from child actor to acclaimed director shows how honesty and growth can change perspectives. If you found this glimpse behind the scenes as fascinating as we did, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more intriguing stories from your favorite shows. Thanks for watching.